Welcome everybody to Thursday night class. And what are we going to do tonight? Tonight we're going to talk about quilting by embroidery machine. And we're going to talk about a few methods, both whether you have a high-end machine or a low-end machine. You can quilt on your embroidery machine no matter what machine you have. There's some wonderful software out there. I also digitized the design for you guys. There's lots of different ways. I'm no way going to show you all the ways that you can quilt on the embroidery machine. This is going to be a three-part series. So in this first part, we're going to be talking about stippling or doing any other quilting in sections. The second part, which is the next video, we will talk about quilting borders onto your quilts. And the third part, we're going to be talking about edge-to-edge quilting on your embroidery machine. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start with just this little 9 patch. Okay, and this was just an ordinary block. The whole thing could be done in the hoop on this machine, but not everybody has a big machine with a big hoop. Most people, in fact, even if you have a high-end machine, this is what most people use. This is, wrong way. This is the most popular hoop of all the machines is a 5x7. I'm just going to load this into the machine for now. So I'm just going to pick an embroidery design, any one. This one has some built in. I measured my little square. I want to put a quilting motif in the center of this square right here. I have some quilting designs, and I'm going to pick one of them, this one, okay? I'm going to size it down because it's too big. It's almost 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. Let's just make it small enough, okay? You could rotate it and have it fit, but I'm just going to go ahead and make it a little smaller. Most machines in their raw form will only let you resize up 10%, down 20%. No, it's the other way, up 20%, down 10%, which isn't enough. On the newer machines, you have this key right here, and that key allows you to go up like 200% and down a lot smaller. So I can actually change this more. So this is actually 4 inches. So I want to make sure that it'll fit inside the 4 inches. So I'm going to make it a little smaller till it hits 4 inches. Okay, and a little bit wider. Yeah, that'll work. This machine has a camera, but not every machine's got a camera. So what I would do is I'm going to go over here. I am going to go to this to embroidery. I'm going to hit my targeting key right there. Actually, I want the other one. I want this one, which looks like that. I have 9 points. I want to look at my design and see where it's going to go. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to hit the up arrow. Well, actually, right now it's set in the center. So if I move my design, I want to move it. Move, and I'm going to scoot it up some. It's right on. But if you want to be sure, I would go to the top. I want to target up top. Okay, it's a little high. And that's a little too high also. So I'm going to go back and go to move and move it down a little bit more. I'm going to check it one more time. So I'm going to go up. It's just barely touching the top. It's barely touching the bottom. It's okay on the left. It's okay on the right. I'm ready to sew it. You are going to use the plus and minus key to advance it 1 stitch. I am going to lower my presser foot. Here, I'm going to lower my presser foot. I'm going to take 1 stitch down, 1 stitch up, raise that presser foot, reach in there and grab that bobbin thread. Have the same color in the bobbin and in the needle just in case, but since our machines are set for machine embroidery, and in machine embroidery, the machine is designed in order to work with a satin stitch, so it pulls that top thread up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is go to the settings. I want to up that tension maybe to 4.4. I want to raise this needle tension a little bit so that that bobbin thread will be drawn up a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to hit okay and lower my presser foot, grab both these threads, don't yank on them because you're going to break a needle, and hit start. Let it go a few stitches. And this one's going to, okay. What I'm going to do is clip them. Now, where did I put my clippers? There they are. Oh, they were right beside me. And when you're starting, you sort of have to look at how it stitches. If it immediately starts to take off, then what you want to do is stop and either keep your threads out of the way or clip them very close. Usually machines do a locking stitch at the beginning, but what you don't want to happen with the locking stitches, you don't want those threads to be drawn underneath of the fabric. You want them to stay on top. That you can take any motif that you have, whether you're stitching in the block, you know, like you're making, oh, say, sugar plum fairies in every block for a baby quilt. You can stitch that sugar plum fairy with just your embroidery fabric and just your and stabilizer. And then you can do your quilting afterwards. This way we would do it all at one time because I have got a full quilt sandwich here. Okay, see where it stopped? I want to stop. I don't want it to cut. So I'm going to raise that. I'm going to pull on my thread. I'm not cutting it, I'm pulling it. Raise the needle. Okay. And you should be able to grab the needle thread along with the bobbin underneath. And you could actually just snip it and pull that bobbin thread up. And then when it's ready to start again, you do the same thing. You take that a couple stitches, pull that bobbin thread up, and then start again. I want to now stipple around this, all around it. I have a couple of options. While I'm designing this, what I could have done is I could have come over here and added stippling to it, which is this key. It would take that design. Of course, you have to tell it what hoop you're using. And this one, I would say be using maybe the 8x8, because I think that's what it is. And then it would put the stippling for you. Now, it added stippling. It's hard to see. Let me change the color. Colors. And I will make this one. Yeah, there we go. I'll make it red. Okay, so you can see, now you can see where it's going to stipple. So after it had stitched out this design, it would have taken this all the way to the edge of the hoop, and it would have done the stippling. You can also set how far away. If you have the Solaris or the Luminaire, you could also put in those fancy decorative fills that you have. Now, another thing I can do is go to IQ Designer. I am going to scan in my fabric. So I'm just going to scan it in and let it find. It's going to scan, it's scanning everything that's in that hoop. So there is an image of my fabric. That's what it looks like. So this is what I can do here. is that I could come over here. I'm going to pick a shape, which is going to be a square. Okay. And I'm going to size it down and make it smaller. Okay. I'm going to go change all of these into no-sew lines. So I'm going to take my properties, no-sew, and just touch everything. Okay, I think those are all no-sew lines. Okay, so now I can go ahead and put in my stippling, which is going to be my properties. Those are fill properties. Here's normal stippling. So I will make it red again too. And then flood. And so now it's going to stipple where I told it to. I could also at this point change this to one of these fancy fills, and there's lots and lots of these. I'll just pick that one. I'll make it orange and flood that. And so now it would go, I'll take it back to embroidery and set. And now that's ready to stitch. I'm not going to stitch it on here. We're going to rehoop this on a 5x7 frame. Try this again. I want to make this representative that don't think of this as a block. Now think of this as a whole quilt. This is a huge quilt that you can't possibly fit in one hoop. But yes, you can go ahead and stitch it anyway and do stippling. So what I would do is you make your quilt sandwich already together. I stitched it. You don't have to. You could put tape on the outside. That would be fine too. And so you don't have to have stabilizer now. So I am going to fit this in. You put this is where I want to use my templates, because the templates are going to tell me whether I can do the whole thing or not. If you look at this, this is your stitching field. That's how the needle can't go outside of the grid area. You want to put this on so that you're looking at it ABC at the top, because these little center marks are not necessarily the center of the outer plastic hoop. It is the center of your sewing field. So I'm looking at this, and you know, I can probably get this in 2 hoopings. Okay, but we're going to say we can't. Okay, say I want to stipple right to the end. And this is a huge quilt. So I'm going to open this up. It helps to have it helps to use your templates, even though you've got a camera, because it helps you to hoop straight in the first place. If you can hoop straight in the first place, then 50% of your work is done. You don't have to. And all I'm looking for is to see if I'm straight. I'm going to put this back in the machine, tighten the hoop, and I will stitch part of it. Okay, I have hooped this. I am ready to go. And so I am going to go to IQ Designer. I want to scan this thing in. I'm doing an image scan. I don't want stitches applied to it. I just want to see what's on that fabric. Okay, I'm going to take my drawing tools right here. I want to take my wavy drawing, you know, just a freehand drawing. I want to make it single. I'll make it red for now. Okay, I'm going to try to draw around here. I just want to draw and not so even. And close it up. I'm going to now draw straight lines. So I'm going to change to the straight line. I want to connect this red to up here, but I want to do it crooked. I don't want it straight. Okay, and then I'm going to do another one relatively straight right along the seam line or the outer edge. And over here. And over here. And then one more that I'm going to sort of go in and start. I just want to intersect. Okay, I'm going to turn all these into no-sew lines. No-sew lines, and then apply. Touch it all, just to be sure. Now I'm going to flood. So these are my region fills. I'm going to start with stippling and I'm going to do pink maybe. Okay, and flood. So now it's stitched here. I left a gap there. I left a gap in here, so it's just going to stitch this area. I'm just going to leave it at stippling, but I'm going to make them far apart so this will stitch out quick. Okay, so go to next, and I'm going to make these longer. Oh, that's how distance away. I want that 0. Okay, so now I'm just going to let it stitch. This is what it's going to look like. There's not a whole lot in there, so I'm just going to go ahead and stitch it. I would lower that presser foot, lower the needle, come up, pull that bobbin thread up. There it is. And then stitch. Okay, stop. Don't let it finish. Then you raise the needle, because this would be showing, raise your presser foot, pull your thread, put your needle down again. And now I can, there's my bobbin thread. See, I can pull that bobbin thread up. And usually what I do is I cut everything long. And this is one where you could go back after you're done, tie the threads and put them under. Okay, so now we want to switch to the other side. So I would take this out and we're going to go and rehoop this. I'm going to take my chalk so we can see this really well and really mark the edge of the quilting where I got it. And okay, this hasn't stitched, so I stitched here because I don't want to stitch over that. These are the parts that I want to put. Remember, we did it crooked here so that it would, I don't want it to line up straight up and down. Your eye will see that if you put that straight up and down. So now I'm going to put this over here. And I'll use my template to make sure that where I want to stitch is inside of my stitching area. Okay, I need to come up more. Okay, and say this is where I want to go. Okay, I still can't get this. That would be another hooping or two, you know, however many you need. I have known people who've had entry-level machines and have done full-size quilts this way. And you know, it's a lot of work, but it can be done. Okay, especially on the Altair where you take a picture. This is the same as taking the picture. Okay, so now we'll go back to the machine and repeat this process. Same thing again. I'm going to scan. Okay, let's take a look at what's scanned in. So it went ahead and scanned. I'll make that a little darker. Okay, and you can see the chalk lines, and that's showing where we've previously already stitched. So I want to take my drawing tools, and I'm going to go ahead and hit my line properties. I'm going to do a straight line, and I'm going to do it as a freestyle drawing. I'm going to do it in red for now. I'm going to change that later to a no-sew line because we don't want it to sew that, but I want to be able to see it. I need to draw. I'm going to start up here. And remember, there's the inside of my frame, so I'm just going to start just inside of it, right here, and draw down, come around. I'm just touching where it's already stitched and come down. Okay. And I'm going to now change this to a straight line. Same thing. And I'm going to do across here, down here, and across here. I'm going to lighten my image to see if I got everything and to check for breaks. and I think it's good. Doesn't have to be perfect because we're not stitching these lines anyway. Okay, so I'm going to go to my line property, and I'm going to go ahead and change that to a no-sew line and flood it with, and see they were all connecting, so they turned from red to like a gray color. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my region properties. I want to pick stippling. I'm going to pick red just so I can see it. It is already red. Okay, and then I'm going to flood inside. So let me make this a little darker. In between the stitching here and the outer boundaries, I'm going to touch it. Okay, there's my stippling. We're good to go. Alrighty, so I'm going to hit next. And then I'm going to change some of these properties because this is just way too dense. This one here I'm going to change to, and that's the run pitch. That says how big a stitch is. I just want bigger stitches. Turn that into 0.88. Because that's what I did last time. So I want them to be the same. Okay. I'm going to set the spacing here to 0.296. Okay. And this is the distance. I want that distance 0. Pretty much 0. I want it to go as close to the line as it can, although we know it's going to, let's see how that looks. I'm going to hit preview. And so then I'm going to go ahead and send it to the machine. Okay. And embroidery. And it's ready to stitch out. Once again, like before, I'm going to hit the plus or minus, and I'm going to go to the first stitch. Hold on. Let's see. Okay, lower my needle. That's where it's going to start. Raise it up. Pull that bobbin thread up. And once again, hang on to it. I'm not going to bother with catching the bobbin thread because that's going to be right into the seam allowance anyway. Okay. Now I just have to rehoop it one more time to catch this and these ends in here. I'm not sure if I can get that all in one hooping, but I'll sure give it a try. This may be a little bit in too far, and I probably should have, and that was in my drawing, so that's a problem with the drawing. Actually, what I'm going to do is just take a little stitch right here and then remove that little lobe and we'll be fine. Okay, I rehooped the block and I made my chalk marks, and so you can see here's where I have stitched already. I'm thinking I can fit that in one hooping without a problem, so I'm going to lighten this up some. So I'm going to cheat because basically this is going to be a square, so I'm going to take my shape tool and I just want a square. I'm going to hit size, and I'm going to use these numbers at the top to make sure it's going to be 5 by 7. 7 inches is the height. I'll go a little less. Okay, and I'm going to make it skinnier, so I'm going to reduce this. Okay, see, I've got a square going this way. Okay, now I'm going to make this a little darker, and I'm going to take my freelance tool, which is right there. Again, I'm going to make it a single line in red, and then I'm going to draw it. Okay, I need to make this darker so I can see. I'm going to come here right to that line. Follow it straight down. I'm going to make this a lot lighter, and I'm going to check for breaks. I don't think I have any breaks. Okay, I'm going to make this a no-sew line. Flood the lines. Okay, that changed them all. Going to put in stippling, red stippling again, and in flood inside that block. Oh, I hit outside wrong. There we go. See, it just went right inside with no problem at all. Okay, and next. Preview again, I want to change those to be the same stitching capabilities, 0.88, 2.9. Okay, that looks like, let me just make that darker just to be sure. It looks like that's going to be just fine. Okay, then set OK, embroidery, and then I will finish the last bit of it. Okay, it's starting up in the margin, so I'm not going to bother about the ends, and let this finish. All done. Let's take a look at it. Move the chalk. I'll wash that chalk out a little bit. And actually, it did a decent job. So, okay, so let's take a look at it real close here. Okay, so here's the bottom. That join looks really good. Not bad. Okay, here it is all cleaned up. And actually, that turned out pretty decent. So this was 3 hoopings, just using 5x7. Okay, next we're going to work on putting on border motifs. Okay, thank you for watching. Join me for the next part where we're going to be talking about applying borders to your quilts by embroidery machine. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. See you later. Bye.